Do-it-yourself debt negotiation. Do-it-yourself debt negotiation is possible, but it will take a lot of guts on your part. It is also known as debt settlement, and not everyone can negotiate with creditors and debt collectors without help. So if you are successful, that makes your debt freedom all the more possible. While it is possible, you must do your research to make sure that you do this the right way. What you lack in expertise and experience can be substituted by an adequate amount of knowledge about the whole debt negotiation process. So how does do-it-yourself debt negotiation work? First of all, you have probably already fallen behind on your bills to consider this type of debt relief program. This is the only way you will prove to them that you are in a financial crisis and give them an incentive to work with you. Make sure that you are not sending any payments to your other creditors too, at least those that are not your priority. You probably have to continue paying your mortgage to keep the lenders from getting your home. When you stop sending payments to your creditors, that does not mean you can spend it on something else. You must put aside the money to grow as your debt settlement fund. This is the fund that will play a significant role during the negotiation process. As soon as the creditor notices that you stopped making your payments, they will start calling you to persuade you to continue with your payments. This is when your patience, calm nature, and determination will come into play. You must take each call and calmly tell the creditors that you do not have money to pay them. Explain how you lost your job or experienced an illness in the family. Whatever the cause for your financial crisis may be, just be honest and truthful about your financial condition. There may be moments when the creditor will be aggressive and even threatening. Just keep your cool and understand that the creditor has reason to be cross anyway. After all, the debt is your responsibility. When you have enough funds to offer your creditor, let them know that you are interested in debt settlement. You will then offer the funds that you had been saving on the side, even if it is a smaller amount than your current balance. Start with a figure lower than your settlement fund. You want to give yourself room to negotiate. At first, the creditor may be hesitant to agree to the plan, but if you are persistent, you can get them to agree. Just make sure that your agreements are documented. Also, never agree to an amount that you cannot afford. When you have finalized the negotiations, wait until you have the signed document in your hand before you send any payment. You want to have proof that they will forgive the rest of the debt as soon as you pay them the settlement fund. You can negotiate with your creditors just like you can negotiate the purchase of a new car. You will save money over hiring a company to do it for you. You can save yourself thousands in the process and become debt-free sooner.
Hello, I'm Brett Knowles from the Balanced Scorecard Network. I'd like to give you this quick YouTube on how your organization can build a balanced scorecard in just 5 days. Now, I know this sounds like a remarkable promise, so before I get into the detail, I want to give you a quick overview of our credentials to make such a claim. We have done probably 2,000 or 3,000 scorecards in every sector across the world. My personal background began with working with Doctors Kaplan and Norton in the late 1980s and early 90s, and I was recently a vice president at the Balanced Scorecard Collaborative working with them. Over the last 10 years, every single book they've written cites our clients as best case examples of how to build balanced scorecards, as do most of the other seminal books on performance measurement and management. In addition to that, 4 of our clients have gone on to win the prestigious Balanced Scorecard Hall of Fame. All of these organizations used our award-winning 5-day rapid scorecard process to develop their scorecard. I'll go into more detail of each of the steps in subsequent YouTubes, but the 5 steps are as follows. First, you need to work with your leadership team to build a strategy map. Identify what are the core strategic objectives in your organization, what's their cause and effect relationship, and of course their priority or overall weighting. Typically, that should take the leadership team about 5 hours based on the existing strategy document and thinking within the organization. The second day, we should be able to harvest existing data within the organization to become performance indicators behind each one of those strategic objectives. Now, by the end of the second day, in fact, you have built what you would normally think of as your balanced scorecard. The strategic objectives, the cause and effect relationship as shown by the arrows, and the overall performance indicators. Whether you're doing this in an application such as Cognos or Actuate, or doing it on a spreadsheet. At the end of the second day, we should be able to produce a fully functioning scorecard. But it turns out that is necessary but not sufficient. In order for us to be successful at strategy execution, we have to translate that to action. So on the third day, we're going to take your core processes and understand their impact and performance against each of those core strategic objectives. In this way, we should be able to identify which of your strategic objectives are likely to be successful and which ones are at risk because the processes are not providing the level of support that they require. In fact, we should be able to identify what is the strategic performance gap in your organization, and from there, analyze your existing portfolio of projects to see what their gap closing potential is. So in this way, on day 3, Wednesday, we're able to translate strategy into action, setting us up for day 4 when we can begin to build the management processes that your leadership team needs to execute strategic management as opposed to tactical management. Included in day 4 are not only the procedures and the steps and the governance model, but also what are the next steps to make your scorecard more substantial. And then finally, perhaps the most important step, we need to launch it. We need to actually turn on that scorecard and begin using it. Because it turns out you can only make your scorecard better by actually using it as opposed to sitting in a room and hypothesizing about what a better scorecard might look like. Again, these 5 steps, each of which will be revealed in a subsequent YouTube in a little bit more detail. Or of course, you can go to our site, thebalancedScorecard.net, and under the Insights page, there are 200 or 300 webinars that provide you with way more detail on each one of these steps and the underlying thinking that goes into them. Thank you for your time, and please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you. Now here's what Dell would look like. And again, this is all based on publicly available information. If you read through the numerous books and Harvard Business articles that talk about how Dell has been successful and how they've used tools like the Balanced Scorecard to move ahead. The net is this. The overall strategy has a number of key components that we can actually use running forward. So the 4 perspectives begin to capture what Dell is all about. So overall, they want to accelerate a cash-to-cash cycle. Now for Dell, they even get into a negative cash flow, which means you will pay them for the computer before they have to pay their suppliers. So accelerate cash-to-cash. Other components are things about profitability, making a great shopping experience, making sure that whatever you want is always immediately available, that everything is customizable, understanding the customer, and match needs and talents. So again, all the elements from their core strategy, which the leadership team has already bought into. And the cause and effect diagram is pretty straightforward. If we focus on profitability, will come from accelerating the cash to cash. If product is always immediately available, it's going to obviously underpin profitability, and that cache cycle that we talked about. The shopping experience supports everything being available. Underpinning that is everything is customizable, which is a careful configuration trick to make sure that what you can build is immediately available and provides you that great shopping experience. The only way to make that happen is to understand the customer's needs and wants. And then a weighting based on what I've read in the books would look a bit like this. The clear focus is between making sure everything is customizable and immediately available. 50% of the strategy lies in those two objectives. If you wanted to add into a third, it's all about the shopping experience. So Dell has a unique spot in the marketplace, which is quite unique around their core strategy, and that's probably how they would establish their weightings.